you for joining us on the Retirement Income Source Hour. We're glad you joined us here and take your time out over the weekend. And our goal is to make sure that we give people information so that way they can plan for the days ahead. You know, our show is committed to one thing that we want to make sure we do very, very well, and that is investing for income. In other words, creating a paycheck while playing the market. Now, let me rephrase that. Creating a paycheck while playing the market. Now, what I mean by that, and why we specialize in investing for income, is you can do that by investing in dividends while at the same time trying to hope for growth. And so, you know, what we find is most people, matter of fact, the majority of the people are not doing this. And believe it or not, the reason why I wrote my book, Retirement Income Shift, How to Get the Most Mileage Out of Your Money, the very reason I wrote that book is most of us want to get mileage out of our money. The only way you can do that is you got to have something that's going to be paid to you, a positive return each and every year, and interest and dividends are positive returns. Think about it. The markets can go down and you still get that positive return. That return is called income. You are actually getting it today, but the majority of the time when we actually analyze people's portfolios, it's deficient of what they could be getting. In other words, they're leaving money on the table. I don't know about you. I don't like leaving money on the table. I want the most I can get, not the least I can get. Why not give yourself a pay raise while you're in retirement? You know, this show is sponsored by Sparks Financial Group, a financial firm right here in the heart of the bluegrass, Lexington, Kentucky. You know, what we teach people for the last 20 years, in my experience, is what to do and most importantly, what not to do. You see, if you're a pre-retiree and you're contemplating when should I retire, well, what we do is we help people to be able to understand those numbers. A lot of times people don't even realize that they can retire. Other people should not retire and they go ahead and retire. So it equally is the same problem. Well, you know, at the end of the day, we all want to make sure it ends well. And you got to, and to some perspective, it's a logical decision more so than any other way, because think about it for a moment. You know, we tell people let the math be the guide going forward, because from if you're going to make 8% return, you're hoping to get 8% return. And by the way, let me set the record straight. In the last 25 years, the market has not earned 8%. You may have earned 8% or maybe more than that on particular funds or particular exchange traded funds, or you may have earned that on certain stocks, because we all know there's been some darlings out there that has done very well. But most people don't never, ever, I've never met anybody yet that perfectly always knew where to be at all times. That's why we diversify. You know, I was calculating the cost of me not investing in Bitcoin, even though I still don't invest in Bitcoin because it's too speculative for me, especially when I'm giving retirement advice. I don't want to put my money in a speculative instrument. Now, there are some of you may argue this is kind of a play money like type of investment. But anyway, hindsight being 2020, I look back and I can't remember. It was about 12, 14 years ago. It was not too far after Bitcoin was introduced. And I want to say it was like $4 a Bitcoin. And as you know, it's a, what, 104,000 today. And when I looked at $4 a coin, I said, couldn't you just imagine if I would have just bought 1,200 coins? I was just sitting there playing the math. It's kind of like, you know, sometimes when somebody wins the lottery, you know, you're thinking, oh, wow, this could have been really cool if I could have done this. You know, we all dream those dreams of, you know, sometimes, you know, having this enormous amount of money that we could have made and just made things right. And of course, I will say money is not everything, but I looked at buying, you know, using a dollar amount. I said, if I put $5,000 in that, several years ago at $4 a coin, do you realize I would be worth $125 million today? I mean, that blows my mind how much that has grown. If you owned NVIDIA, you would have been worth who knows what. I didn't really do the math on that. I'll just happen to stop and do the math on the Bitcoin. So, to be quite honest with you, I'm not going to, this radio show has nothing to do with Bitcoin, has nothing to do with NVIDIA or cherry picking stocks and giving you stock tips and all that, because as we all know, and people I've always talked to in the past, investing should be about fundamentals. It should never, ever be about taking too much risk. And the people we work with in retirement does not want that kind of risk in the first place, although we would like to see those big, enormous returns when they do occur. But, today we're going to be actually talking about, and I have talked about this in a prior show just about 3 or 4 weeks ago. And as I promised, once a month, I'm going to be bringing this up because this is really near and dear to me, because it's probably one of the most important topics still today in the United States, and that is estate planning. But this is not just normal, any kind of estate planning. I'm talking about 21st century estate planning. For many years, we have recommended certain estate planning firms here locally, really great attorneys, done a really good job, and I know they mean well. Good, has the degrees needed, master's degrees in accounting and so forth. They got everything they need to be an estate planning attorney or estate planning firm. And so that's all needed. We all need that advice. And if anything, if you take anything from this show today, and hopefully you will walk away and say, you know what, I'm going to go get me an estate plan, because that's the goal, is to motivate you. Most people procrastinate and put estate planning off, and I do not know why, but unfortunately, I actually did the same thing up until in the last several months. We finally wrapped and buttoned our estate plan up, and I'm glad I waited for my situation. And the only reason why, even though everything worked out perfectly, nothing really happened majorly that or I could have had problems in the future. But I'm so glad that I did the estate plan, because now I realize that there was things that I was ignoring. And most important, when it comes to ignoring, the biggest problem that I see today is we really don't know how long we're going to live. And we all want control, but we're not going to have any control once we die, right? I mean, we don't know whether we're going to die in a car accident, in an airplane accident, or natural causes, maybe in the hospital. I mean, there's so many ways we pass away. And, I was thinking about Prince, the singer. And I know most of you probably remember Prince, but he died in the elevator in Minnesota. I mean, think about it for a moment. Do you think he planned that? No. And neither did Elvis Presley think he was going to die in a bathroom. And I'm willing to bet that we all know that we know people that had probably passed away in unique areas, not just in the typical areas like hospital, nursing homes and that, but there's other places too. And we're not given the next breath. We're on borrowed time, as my dad used to say. But yet we put off estate planning. But let me tell you, what you don't know will hurt you, because putting off estate planning is still going to come at a cost, because there's costs that occur if you do not do a right, proper estate plan. And most importantly, I want to have control. Control means I want to be able to control how I divvy out my assets to my beneficiaries. And that's what I mean by that. And not only that, I want to be able to have control with, if I've got a blended family and I was remarried, I want to have control if I pass away, that my spouse doesn't go in and change, the documents or anything and redirects the funds or anything. You got to keep in mind, people, there's a lot of things that people don't realize they got control over, but they don't ever think about what to do. That's why it's so important to talk to an estate attorney, a professional, to be able to get that done. But we're talking about 21st century estate planning, and 21st century estate planning is digital trust planning. In other words, everything is on your computer. Most people do what we call a book trust, or a will, or just maybe a few documents, maybe a power of attorney. We just do some of the least little things we can to get by, because we're kind of penny pinchers. We don't want to spend a lot of money, because, nobody's going to tell me, how to do that, because, we think we're smarter than everybody else. And I'm going to be honest with you. I did an estate plan because I found out how smart I was. I wasn't smart at all, because I didn't know that the problems will occur. It's not maybe, they will occur, because it's all you got to do is Google and just do some your own research like I did, and find out the cost it is to pass that estate on, especially if you do improper estate planning. And keep in mind, estate planning is not just for the wealthy, although the wealthy do it. Most of us have assets. If you have assets in excess of $100,000, you may ought to consider an estate plan. Mind you, I'm not an attorney. I'm a financial advisor. We give advice on people. On the other spectrum is income. But there's legal, tax, and there's financial, right? There's three different things that people have. And so I'm in connection with legal issues, not me myself, but I'm going to share with you today why I did my own estate plan. But most importantly, why that we suggest it even for the clients that we serve. And we really, really encourage them. We do, private workshops here, even in our building here. We got a conference room, so they can at least be educated. If they don't do anything, it's their problem. They at least know, and that's just it. Sometimes we take knowledge and we just, we don't do anything. We just freeze. It's kind of like getting a degree. If we don't take the degree and go to the next, and take that in our career, then we really wasted our time learning something that was really totally irrelevant. So it's the same way when we get advice. So as we go into 21st century estate planning, I'm going to be talking a lot about digital planning. In other words, how you can have control, 100% control. I haven't met anybody that does not like control. But if you would like to know more about that, you can call 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080. And we will show you, not me, we have an attorney group that does it. We sit down and kind of initiate the first beginning of that consultation, just to see whether you do a comparison. You want to compare what is available to what our attorneys offer our clients. And again, I like this type of estate plan. It gives me more control, but you can learn more of how to get your trust funded and all those things, which are the biggest problems today. So if you call our number at 888-930-1080, and we can have a phone call, which I would definitely encourage to have an in-office meeting. Keep in mind, you're not buying anything, because I am not an estate attorney. So with that being said, we will talk more here just in a few minutes. We appreciate you listening to our show, and we got a lot of information when it comes to 21st estate planning. So stay tuned. You're dialed in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks, your host, and today's show is talking about 21st Century Estate Plan Part 2. We're actually going to be bringing up 21st Century Estate Plan at least once every month, maybe give or take a few weeks, who knows, depending on all the other information that comes to mind. But the goal is to cover something that is a very important topic today, because most people, believe it or not, don't even know they need an estate plan, which is really surprising to me. But some of that, I'm going to just blame that there's not enough information out there to encourage people to do an estate plan. Because, if you think about it for a moment, I was thinking about the show Scrooge. Christmas just passed, and, Typically, the show of Scrooge comes on many times throughout the Christmas season. But he was visited by 3 different ghosts. And the first ghost, if you remember, was the past ghost. He took him to the past and started showing him how Scroogey how he got his name. And then he had the present ghost. And then the most important one was the future ghost. The future ghost is where he made a decision. He was going to make a change because he couldn't be that person anymore. Well, you see, whenever you do an estate plan, it's kind of similar to that. None of us want to go into the future and know when we pass away and how we pass away. But we should go into the future. That's what an estate plan does, to find out how our estate is going to be, the baton's going to be passed to our children. And do we want to pass through probate or no probate? It's really simple, people. This is not rocket science. You're either going to go through probate or you're not going to go through probate. And by the way, if you even have a trust, you may still go through probate, which is the very reason that I got into actually doing my own research of trying to find out what was the best estate planning firm out there that would serve the client's needs and give the client a lot of control. And that was through digital estate planning. But prior to that, I had a client that basically had an estate plan done back in 2012 by a very qualified company. They had accounting degree. This is all they actually specialize in. And I didn't know any better, so they basically did the estate plan, handed it to them, and it's what we call a book trust. You know here's what I mean by that. It's a binder, and a binder that has all these other documents with them, like power of attorneys, healthcare directors, healthcare power of attorneys, and so forth, living wills, and so forth. So at the end of the day, everything was notarized, witnessed. And to some degree, that is an estate plan. But this is where the but came in. The client lost their spouse, and after they lost their spouse, within just a few months, 3 or 4 months, they contacted the attorney firm that actually that did the estate plan and said that my wife passed away, et cetera, blah, blah, blah. And so the attorney firm says, well, stay tuned. I'll get back with you, and got some personal information. I'm just telling you what I was told. This is an actual client who's been a client of ours since 2007. And they actually told me all this. And so after he got the estate, got off the phone, about 3 or 4 months later, he got a bill for $8,500. People, don't get me wrong. I understand you had to pay to get things done, but I was sitting there thinking, could that have been avoided? And here's what I was really thinking. What caused that? Because think about it, husband and wife. It was a joint trust. It was put together. There was some probate that was involved, by the way, people. And the second person hadn't even passed away yet. It was just the first one. I don't know what I don't know. But I do know this much. This actually happened. And to me, I don't know about you, but $8,500 is a lot of money just to be sitting there pulling away. But here was the biggest concern. From the client. This is the feedback I was getting from the client. Well, heck, when I pass, is my son going to have to deal with this? And, is it going to be more than it is now? And so that was a great question. Well, that made me think, hey, people need an estate plan. I can tell you right now, if you don't have an estate plan, I don't know why you do not. You can't give me a reason why you do not, unless you just don't really care if the kids go through probate or maybe you don't have any kids or something like that. There could be some various reasons that could be substantiate that. But the majority of the time, when I get in front of people, the majority of people we work with, they should have an estate plan. And to be quite honest with you, I favor trust, but that's because I have a trust. Again, I'm not an estate attorney. I do not give advice whether you have a trust or not a will. They're the ones that are actually putting you. They're the ones that are specializes in that, and so they're the ones that can help you with that. But the thing is, though, I don't never agree on anything until I can, in my mind, completely feel that was the right decision to make. And so I started doing some homework and started looking around. And it took me several years to get to the point of 21st century estate planning. Several years. But just for a second here, I'm going to stop for a moment and let you know how you can actually get access to 21st century estate planning. In other words, digital estate planning. Digital means you have control. And I'm going to go into depth what I mean control. Matter of fact, I may not be able to spend all the time today on this show because we only got an hour show. And there's so much to know about this right here. And I'm going by my experience and also by what, the attorney firm that works with our clients, what they do. So that way our clients are getting everything completed. And so if you would like to know how to have more control and have one flat fee, and I'll even explain to you why a fee is ongoing when you have a book trust. And so anyway, if you would like to have 100% control and one flat fee and have a medical ID card and have your trust funded immediately, not have to wait, unheard of, then call our office and schedule that consultation with myself, 859-273 or 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080. And again, that call, what will take place in that call is an appointment, the schedule with myself, where we will actually compare what's available today. And there's a lot of ways you can get estate planning needs done. The question is, you're the one that's going to shell out the money, and you're even going to, even most importantly, shell out even possibly more money if you don't do an estate plan at all. And a lot of plans today that I have seen, and I know that my own eyes, I see it, are incomplete. It doesn't matter if you have a book trust. You want to make sure you are complete. So you can come in with myself for an hour, kick tires, and after that you can leave, and then you can decide on your own where you want to hire this firm to put you on what I call the much better estate planning options than anything I have ever seen. Again, 21st estate planning needs. You're tuned in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks, and again, we are talking about 21st century estate planning. Estate planning unheard of, digital estate planning. You can actually check it out. You can go, this company's been around since 1985. This is not their first rodeo. The company itself consists of 6 attorneys. It's a 6-attorney group. They've covered all the bases. If there's anything that they've seen, they've done, they prepare for, that's all they do. And again, it's digital estate planning, one fee, and that is it. And believe it or not, a lot of times people will pay a fee to get a book trust done, but believe it or not, that's not the only fee that you will pay. The only way you're going to know how much an estate plan is going to cost you on the front end, not on the back end, because you got changes and all that will occur with an estate plan because things happen over the next 30 years. You want to make sure those changes are made. But only way you will know what it's really going to cost you, not the initial fee that you paid to get your book trust and so forth, but the ongoing fee, is if you knew exactly when you were going to pass away. It's the only way any kind of estate planning firm can tell you what that's going to be. The problem is we have to factor in inflation, because I'm willing to bet you that attorney fees to take care of the hourly fee is probably going to double or triple in 20 or 30 years from now than what the fees are today. And so we got to take all that in consideration. And there's a lot of ways to be able to minimize that. And so, at the end of the day, if you're like me, if you're a penny pincher, you're trying to cut your costs and still have an ideal estate plan. This company has actually done 22,000 trusts. So they know a little bit about trusts. That's all they do. So again, if you would like to know more about that, I'm going to offer you a free consultation with myself in the office to learn how you can pay one flat fee to have everything done digitally. Gives you 100% control, and you can have your trust funded in one day. Matter of fact, in 1 hour, not weeks or not months, and get you an interactive medical ID card, something you put in your wallet. We're going to talk a little bit more about that a little bit later, why it's extremely important. And we can go on and on about the bells and whistles that are important, including IRA and Heritage Trust, all encompassing in this cost. If you want to know more about that, call 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080. And that call, when you call in, you will actually, over the weekend, we will contact you on Monday and schedule that appointment in the office where we can actually cover everything you need to know about 21st century estate planning. You're tuned in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks, your host. Our show is sponsored by Sparks Financial Group right here in the heart of the Bluegrass, Lexington, Kentucky. Today, we are talking about 21st century estate planning. Did you know, and this is an article I read, these articles can be easily found when you're actually doing some research like I do myself, to be able to help the public to be able to understand why an estate plan is extremely important. Who's it? Susie Orm, has made a case for having a living trust for many, many years. Some people has taken that advice and actually taken action and takes action to get things done. A lot of times people procrastinate and do no action, take no action at all, or they wait till the last minute. And sometimes waiting until the last minute can cost you, because I have actually seen where an estate plan goes to awry when one of the spouses passed away because they put off an estate plan, and it affected the other spouse in a lot of ways. I've actually had that happen here recently. But this article said that typically that there is 3 million cases that goes, probate cases that are opened up each and every year. Now think about what I just said. 3 million probate cases opened every year. Probate means that the estate plan was done incorrectly. To me, it's done incorrectly. We can call a spade. We can call it whatever we want to call it. We have to accept it. But you need to know what that means. Probate court basically means that that's going to be a cost to the family for anything, because the only way probate court got probate actually opened up is because the estate was in excess of that minimum, which means they're going to open up probate. Also, assets freeze for up to 6 months, from my understanding. And so if you take your cell phone, 3 million probate cases opened up a year, if you divide it by 50 states, and then divide that by 260 working days out of the year, did you know that's 230 cases per day in the state of Kentucky on average? Statistically speaking, that's pretty significant. Did you know probate is really nothing but somewhat, it's good, there's some positives about it, but you got to keep in mind that it's also an expense. It's an expense that we can actually avoid. But for whatever reason, people are not educated enough, because another statistic says that less than 40% of the people have wills, less than 20% of the people have trust. That really blows my mind. That tells me that really nobody is educated enough or informed enough to understand what these particular documents can do if they're done correctly. The word correctly, if they're completed, is even more important. According to LexisNexis, $2 billion a year is collected in fees. Imagine that. You divide that by 50 states, 260 days out of a year. That's $153,000 per day collected, statistically speaking, in the state of Kentucky. That's a lot. I mean, that could be avoided, and that's the whole go. That's the whole goal of this show is not just about income, but because estate planning is part of a financial plan. And so most people just kind of sweep this under the rug and don't think it's that important. You better be looking, or you'll be visited by a future ghost. And if that future ghost actually pointed out to you, here's what the problem's going to be, you can only, at that point, if you know what the cost is going to be in the future, you would say, I would never, ever do that to my family. But most people actually do it. And they do it every day. Again, 230 cases every day opened up. Even the stars. I can go through a list. We do estate planning courses here locally in colleges like Sullivan University. And we're going to be doing 22 of them, 22 nights this year. We're going to be doing estate planning courses. And it's really just going to be an hour and 15 minutes. We're going to start on time, and an hour and 15 minutes later, you're going to be coming out of there and blown away. But we go over a bunch of celebrities. And we go through about 20 of them real quick, just to kind of get people's mind around people that they actually know and have heard of, familiar with, and they all passed away. But they also passed away and left a big problem to their family that they could have avoided. And so nobody wants government intervention. You see, that's the whole goal of estate planning, is minimize government intervention. If a government gets involved, there's a cost. We don't want to hear from the IRS. Then what do? We void things to be able to not hear from the IRS. It's the same way when it comes to an estate plan. You want to avoid probate. That's the whole key. Probate's not a bad thing. There's a good reason to have probate. It's there to prove, and there's a lot of positive things. But the thing is, though, you can equally do a great estate plan without having to go through probate and get the same thing accomplished to pass your assets to your beneficiaries. So with that being said, I want to give you an opportunity to be able to know more about this, not just hear about it, more specifically about your situation. And everybody's got their own type of estate plan, and every one of them, for the most part, are always different to some degree. I'm not the estate planning attorney firm, but we actually point you in the direction to this 21st century estate planning, digital trust planning, and get to know more about this. Because keep in mind, you're browsing, you're trying to find out what makes the most sense. And you can have a consultation with myself, 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080, and schedule that appointment. One flat fee. You get your trust funded. You get your trust funded in an hour, and you get you have 100% control. We're going to talk about what I mean by 100% control, because a lot of us lack control whenever we do a book trust, because you got to make changes, and when you make changes, you got to go to your attorney to get it done, and a lot of times we put that off. A digital trust allows me to change it anytime I want to. I want to have control, and you can also have access to an interactive medical ID card. Extremely important. This can actually save your life, and there's more to talk about actually. And this is offered by Integrated Trust Systems, a group that we work with, and we recommend all of our clients, including myself. And so you want to schedule that appointment by calling 888-930-1080. You're tuned in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks. And today we are talking about 21st century estate plan. 21st century estate planning you have not heard of. You've heard of estate planning, you've heard of trust, you've heard of will, you've heard of irrevocable trust, special needs trust. I'm sure some of you have to some degree. You do your own investigation and so forth and research. But I like to, whenever I get something done, I want to get it done right away. I don't want to wait, procrastinate, put things off, because procrastination guarantees probate. Action voids probate. And most people put stuff off. This is something you don't want to put off, because guess what? You don't know how long you're going to live. You can be healthy and fall over and pass away. We already know that. Elvis Presley passed away in his bathroom. Prince passed away in an elevator. You don't know. I mean, if you think about it for a moment, what I have found, one of the biggest mistakes I find in estate planning is getting the trust funded, or the book trust funded. Although it is offered today, most people don't actually do it. And it should be. I mean, you want to assign all your assets to your trust. Because if you don't, it doesn't matter. All you got is paperwork. You got something that can start a fire with. Because the point of having a trust is to avoid probate, but you're not going to avoid probate if you don't assign the assets. It's completely, something that the 90% of the time that I see does not happen. So it's all about completion. I mean, think about it for a moment. If I go to the doctor and the doctor says, you got this prescription, I want you to take this prescription for the next 30 days and do not stop. We take the prescription, right? In other words, we complete it. There's a reason why they're telling us that. I mean, it's just like my shower leak that I had years ago, and I went through $25,000 to $30,000 in cost to get it fixed twice until I got involved, because neither time was it complete. The third time it got complete the way I want to complete it, I had to have control. Just like me, when I'm in my car, I like it better when I'm driving. I want to have the steering wheel, not somebody else have the steering wheel. And we want control. We all want control. And that's what digital estate planning does. Gives you more control. It allows you to make changes anytime you want to. Another way of looking at it, when it comes to completion, if I'm on first base, I'm not going to score until I make it home. We all like things completed, and that's what I have found. That one of the biggest problems I find in estate planning is the estate, the assets are not assigned. That's a one-way ticket to probate, because there are assets out there, people, that are not beneficiary driven. They are going to go through probate because you didn't assign it. And I'll give you an example. I have a client right now, and has 3 different trusts. Wow, I don't know if she just went to different attorneys and they just keep stacking trust on top of trust or what. I don't know enough about it. I'm not an estate planning attorney. Don't know the rhyme or reason behind it. But I do know this much. The house is not point to the trust. The deed is not there. The trust doesn't own the house. It's going to own the house at the death. If there's a husband and wife, it's going to own it at the second death. There's a reason why you want that trust on the house, the deed, because when you pass away, a second person passes away, the trust closes and allows your beneficiaries to have control. Then you got a trustee and so forth. The attorney will go over all that with you, but I'm telling you the problem. And in her case, this is a close client of ours, been a client of ours since 2008. This is a $1.1 million house. Just do your homework. Go to Google, Yahoo Finance, Yahoo, wherever your search engine is, and Google the cost of probate in the state of Kentucky. It's up to 5%. No joke. It's actually more than that, depending on the children, where they can contest it, or even other people can contest it if you just have a will. I mean, at the end of the day, 5% of the $1.1 million, people, is $55,000. By the way, this lady is very, very, very legacy minded. She wants her son or daughter to get everything, but she also wants to be able to avoid the predators and the parasites that's going to be on the tail end of this estate. Why would anybody want to throw away $55,000? I know people that pinch pennies for a lot less than that, but that's a lot of money. I'm not done. She's got a real nice car in her driveway. That car can go through probate. She's got over $150,000 in the bank accounts. None of them are set up. Not even PODs or TODs set up. She's got over $3 million in IRAs and $2 million in life insurance. And actually, I can go on and on. This lady is doing very well for herself. But there's going to be some probate costs if those assets do not get assigned appropriately. And that's what 21st Century Estate Planning ITS does for our clients. Wants to make sure we get it done correctly the first time. We want to get it complete. I love things to be complete. I want to, if I know I've got something right, I want to get it done, buttoned up right away. I don't want to sit around and wait, think about it, dream about it, just get it done. And if you want to know more about what that is, what that looks like, and compare that to what you have or what you don't have, then you can call and get that free consultation with myself where you can understand, where you can pay a one flat fee and get all these documents. I have 100% control and get your trust funded in one day. And as a matter of fact, it takes an hour once it's all complete. And you get an interactive medical ID card, et cetera, et cetera. I mean, you get an IRA inheritance trust, all of that for one flat fee. And, I've had people tell me they've never heard of this, but it is real. This is not something made up. And this company's been around since 1985, done 22,000 trusts. So know a little bit about trust. It doesn't matter what kind of trust exists out there, they actually do them. And you can get that by calling 888-930-1080. Again, 888-930-1080. You're tuned in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks. We will be right back. Welcome to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks, your host, and our show is sponsored by Sparks Financial Group right here in the heart of the Bluegrass, Lexington, Kentucky. Today, we are talking about 21st century estate planning. In other words, estate planning that covers everything you need to know. And it's not supplied by me. I'm not an attorney, but we can point you in the same direction that we do for our clients. I have a large book of clients, and so our clients are going to hear about estate planning every one of them. Why? Because it's extremely important. Because estate planning to me, I know our clients likes to save money, and not only that, they want to make sure that all their assets pass to their kids in the most efficient way. I can give you 25 reasons to do an estate plan. Do not put this off. This is not this is not like shopping for tires, people. You want to make a decision about this and find out where you want to get it done and get it done. I mean, if you think about it for a moment, we all want control, and there's a healthcare interactive medical ID card that this firm actually offers, which I thought was pretty cool. It's kind of a hybrid function that, there's healthcare power of attorneys, and then there's advanced directives and so forth. Some of us get these at their local hospitals and so forth. But most people, when they do a book trust, they don't keep their book trust in their car. They don't keep it. They don't take their book trust when they go on vacation. But you see, whenever you're out of town or go down the road just to your local Kroger or something to do some grocery shopping, you're in an accident and you're unconscious. Even if your spouse is home, they don't know that you were in a car accident. So if you were in a car accident, what do you think? The spouse knows it's a couple hours has already passed and they still haven't heard from you. Do you think they're going to probably be worried? Yeah, they're going to be worried. But the thing is, though, their hands are tied. They don't know you're in an accident. And a lot of times they don't even know to call you. They call the spouse, the one that's at home waiting on the husband, for example, to come home because they're unconscious. They're on the side of the road because they just had a major accident. But if they had this interactive medical ID card in their pocket, done correctly, signed and everything. Again, it's all about completion of an estate plan, not just getting one and saying I got one, not realizing there's a lot of things that you can do to be able to button up problems out there that could occur, and this could occur. But if this person had this card in the back of their wallet, because obviously they're going to try to find out who this person is. Unconscious person cannot talk to the EMT. So they can pull that card up. It's got a special number on it. And hospitals and physicians are very familiar with this. They can pull that up and they can know exactly who this is. They can know who their power of attorney is, who they need to talk, their wife, their husband, their phone number, their kids' phone numbers, whether they got, whether they're diabetic. I mean, you can put all these things in there. Wouldn't that be important for the hospital to know that? I think so. Because sometimes there's do or die situations where somebody has to do something quickly, but there's a limitation on what that hospital can and cannot do, and nobody's there to help make a decision. I like it when I have stuff like that on me. I'm planning in advance. I hope it never happens, but at least I have it just in case I do. It does happen. So that advance medical ID card, one of the best things I have actually seen in this digital estate plan. I know my wife really liked it. We're giving one to all of our children because you never know. You never know when that was to occur. At least we're prepared for it. So if you'd like to know more about the interactive medical ID card, how to fund your trust, assign all your assets to your trust in one day, 1 hour, one flat fee, get all this done, get it where you can have 100% control. Have this medical ID card, have an IRA inheritance trust, and we'll talk about that just in a minute, and have all that for one price. If you want to know more about that, call 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080. And what this does is I'm actually just the front end of this. I'm not the attorney group, but we actually, if you decide you want to be able to work with our attorney group, then to get this, because it makes sense, then you're going to be able to know all that you need to know in that appointment. Again, I'm not a legal professional. I'm just more of a financial advisor, and most of you probably know that. But this 21st century estate planning is unheard of. You're tuned in to the Retirement Income Source. This is Tim Sparks, and today we are talking about 21st century estate planning. We are just about ready to wrap up here in just in a minute, but I do want to talk a little bit about IRA inheritance trusts. And the reason I bring this up, because I'd say probably 90% of the people we meet with because most people save money in their 401ks. They save money in their 403bs. They save money in their TSP plans. All of these accounts eventually will transition into an IRA, more than likely, if they do proper financial planning. Well, most people just do the default beneficiary designation. The default with your financial advisor typically is the primary spouse would receive the assets, and there's a tax-free transition to that spouse, no problem. And then the contingent beneficiary winds up being the kids. Well, what the IRA inheritance trust does is it comes in, instead of being the kids getting becoming the contingent beneficiary, actually the trust becomes a contingent beneficiary. There's a reason why you do it that way, according to the attorney firm that we work with. And you can Google IRA inheritance trust, because this is why it's important. There's nothing wrong with making your kids contingent, but there is a problem when it comes to taxes. Because, see, when it passes to your spouse, it's tax-free. Your spouse gets the money as if they owned it originally. It just got a new name on it. But when it passes to the kids, it's not so. That's considered an inherited IRA. And an inherited IRA has different rules, especially with Secure Act 2.0 that passed just here in the last couple of years. So they made a lot of changes, especially whenever it passes to your children. This is the reason why a lot of people do a lot of planning. But the one I like is, think about it, we have clients that got $2 million, $5 million in IRAs, $3 million, $1 million, $500,000. It doesn't really matter. If you pass away and you got one child and you got a $500,000 IRA, let me tell you when that kid is actually going to take that IRA. They're going to take it immediately. And they're going to have a tax bill of $150,000 to $200,000. By the way, we're talking about future tax rates maybe going up. Right now, we know they're probably going to stay stagnant, probably for the new administration going in. But keep in mind, tax rate that's a huge tax bill that could have been avoided. What the IRA inheritance trust does, per what I'm understanding is you can actually spread that out over the 10 years of keeping up with the Secure Act and actually give that money to the kids and save them that $150,000 to $200,000 in taxes. Keep in mind, you're trying to save your kids from themselves. Because most people sometimes will tell me, well, my kids are responsible. Well, they may be. But think about it for a moment. Get $500,000 up front or $50,000 a year for the next 10 years. Which one you think they're going to choose? Almost hands down, I'm willing to bet you'll agree that I want $500,000 up front. Why? Because I can do more with the money up front versus waiting 10 years. Look at the lottery. Everybody takes the money immediately. They don't want that money over 20-year payout. So, with that being said, I explained to you a lot about medical ID cards, how they're important to have in your wallet, IRA inheritance trusts, why it's important to avoid probate, because there's going to be some cost if you do not do anything. If you have a will, you're going to go through probate. Will does not avoid probate. If you have no will, it does not avoid probate, but you're going to be on Kentucky's plan instead of the one that you could have left behind. So with that being said, we hope you have enjoyed our show. We've came to the end of our show, but only give you an opportunity to reach out and get that consultation set up where you can know more about the things we covered today by calling 888-930-1080. Again, that's 888-930-1080. And you will learn what I shared with you today and compare it to what you're already doing or maybe haven't done, and to give you more control. One flat fee to get everything done, including your trust funded all at once in 1 hour. We hope you've enjoyed the show. We hope this information was beneficial to you. And I'm going to be talking more about this at least once a month. But if you want to actually reach out, call our show, our 800 number, and we can actually schedule that appointment. With that being said, we hope you've enjoyed it, and we will talk more next week as we're going to be talking about stock market history and how to plan. Thank you for listening.